Hello everyone, welcome to the class. So today we are going to do averages. We will see this topic and questions based on it. And it is one of the most important pillars of quantitative aptitude. As we discussed that percentages is one, another is averages and one is ratio proportion. Okay. So be it your uh, like arithmetic portion or be it DI, it is quite handy. So let us first understand what is average, okay, and the kind of questions you can anticipate from it. So average is the sum of all numbers divided by the number of items in the set. Okay, so simple definition, like add all the numbers and divide by the number of terms. So this is something which you have been doing, let us say, even if you are out of touch of mathematics, you must be calculating your average marks in your school, colleges, etc. So average, you know what it is, right? Simple definition. Now, there are certain properties of averages which you must know, because sometimes what happens is these properties come handy and help you solve those questions faster. Okay. So first property of an average is it lies between the smallest and largest values. So whenever you take average, it will never be equal to the largest or smallest value. If all values are same, that is a different thing. But if the values are different, it is between smallest and largest values. So let us take some examples. Let us say we want to find the average of 8, 10, 13, 17, and let's say 25. Okay, so these are the five values. And what is the average? Average, if you take, add these values, that is 18. 18 plus 30 is 48. Plus 25 is 73. 73 upon 5, that is equal to 14.6. So it is between the smallest and largest values, right? So logic, you must understand. Sometimes, let us say if you have to find the average, instead of calculating, you see that the average is beyond the largest value or less than the smallest value. Okay, so there can be instances wherein this logic could be handy. Okay, now that is one thing. Then the next thing is, if a constant value is added or subtracted from every observation in a data set, the new mean will be the original mean plus or minus that constant. Okay. So it says that if you add or subtract any number, then the average will be multiplied or divided by that number. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me add a number to all these numbers, and you do the same process by subtracting it. Okay. So suppose we add 3 to each of the numbers. So it becomes 11, 13, 16, 20, and 28. Okay. Now what will happen to the average? Let us add these numbers. 24 plus 16 is 40, 60, and 88. 88 upon 5 is 17.6. So we saw there is an increase of 3. Okay. Now we did adding. Your homework is to subtract a value and check it, or you can check it right now itself by subtracting the value. So one value common subtracted from each of the numbers. Okay. Next is, if every observation in a data set is multiplied or divided by a constant. So I will do for division. Okay. You try for multiplication. Okay. You can multiply all the numbers by 2, 3, any number, 5, any number, and you can see that. Divided by a constant, the new mean will be the original mean multiplied or divided by that constant. So let us say we divide all numbers by 2. So what we will get? This will be 4, this will be 5, 6.5, 8.5, and this is 12.5. So let us add the values with 0.5 together. That is 20 and 1, 21. 21 plus 9, 30, and 36.5. 36.5. Divided by 5, 5, 7, 35. Then 1.5, that is 15. So 3 times. 7.3. So we saw that it became divided by 2. Right? So we see that if we add or multiply, like we did for addition, we did for division, you can check for multiplication and subtraction on your phone, taking some values. you will see this property. Okay. The sum of deviations from the mean is 0. So we will learn this deviation method to calculate the averages, right? Now, what is deviation? So deviation is basically, what is the average in this case? 14.6, 8, 10, 13, 17, and 25, right? The average was 14.6. So subtract 14.6 from each of these. So this deviation thing will be handy in, we will learn the method, right? So first of all, let us understand deviation. So deviation is difference from the average. What is this value? Minus 6.6. This value is minus 4.6, minus 1.6. This is 2.4. And this is 10 point. Okay. Add the positive values together, or if you can, like this is 12.8. 66, 16, and 46. 46 plus 6, 46 plus 16 is 62 plus 66, 128. Minus 12.8. Okay, so we see that net total is 0. So this is the property of averages, right? So three handy properties, right? One is largest and smallest, that's a logic. But if some addition is required, subtraction is required, you know how will the average change. And similarly for multiplication and division. And the third thing is sum of deviations is 0. So this method we will use to learn how to calculate averages using the deviation method, which is very handy in data interpretation. So first let us understand it and we will apply it in the questions. Next thing is the change in average and sum relation. Okay, so this is a common, this is very important, average sum relation. This will enable you to calculate things fast. Now, there is a question which says that, now we discussed that average and sum. Okay. Average is sum upon values. Number of values. So it implies sum is equal to average into number of values. Okay, how many values are there? Now, if you have to change the average, change the sum, that is increase or decrease the sum, it will depend on increasing or decreasing the average. Okay. So that is the property. Change in sum is change in average into number of items. Now, let us see this thing carefully. It says that, let's first read the question and understand it. It says that the average height of 47 students is 123 centimeter. Okay. And if the height of the teacher is included, the average height increases by 0.75 centimeter. Find the height of the teacher. Okay. So now, if you look at this question, if you look at the conventional method says that like height of teacher plus student height. So you will say there are 48 people, including the teacher, plus 47 students, and their averages increases by 0.75. So you will say 48 into 123.75. You will get some height. Height of students' height total. You will say 47 into 123. You will get the value y. So teacher's height will be x minus y. Okay, so this is the first approach, that is the conventional approach. You will get the values, but it is quite calculation intensive, right? I do not know the table of 47. I do not know the table of 48, right? So of course it will be a tedious task to calculate, right? And this is how most people do it. So instead of that, we will be using the second method, that is change in average method, right? Change average sum relation. So first of all, in this method, right? Now here we are assuming, going forward you need not assume it, right? So going forward you will Directly use the concept. Now suppose teacher is 123 centimeter tall. Now if the teacher is 123 centimeter tall, what will happen to the height of the average height? Okay, if you are unable to think of it, let me give you an example. Let us say when you were in school, right? Where or colleges, teachers used to show your sheets, right? Response sheets. Then you would calculate your average. Let us say you had 91 in one subject, 87 in another subject, 85 in another subject, and so on. Right? Suppose your average is like coming out to be 90, and in the next sheet, if you get 90 plus, your average will increase. If you get 90, your average will remain same. And if you get less than 90, the average will decrease. Less than 90, the average will decrease. That's what would happen. Like logic, no calculations, just logic. Right? This is some logic which you can relate to, because uh, calculating your average marks is the thing that you must have always done, right? So that used to happen. Like if you would get more than 90, your average will increase, right? You will always wish that you get more marks so that your average increases. But if you got less marks, your average would decrease. If you got the same uh, like marks, the average would remain the same. Right? That's what we had. Now, if the teacher is 123 centimeter tall, average height will remain 123 only. Okay, 123 centimeter. Teacher is also 123 centimeter. So this is to understand the logic. Okay. Now, what happens? The average is increasing by 0.75. There is an increase in average. Now, change in sum is change in average into change of items. This is the thing that we have written here. Now, what are we totaling here? What are we totaling? What is sum here? Total height. Right? So we will write this thing. Change in height is equal to change in average. Since it is increasing, we will add. If it was decreasing, we would have subtracted into number of people. So this is our expression that becomes. Now what is change in height? 0.75. Sorry, we need to find this. Change in average is 0.75. And how many people are there? 48. Why 48? Because we have to include, after including the teacher, this is happening, right? So 0.75 into 48. You will get the total as 36. Okay. Change in height is 36. Is it a positive change or negative? Here the average is increasing. So 36 should increase. Now we will add 36 to 123. The total will be 159 centimeter. Now tell me whether calculating this was easy or this was easy. Second one, right? So everyone would agree that the second method was easy. Now you do not have to write these two lines. I mean, even you do not have to write this formula also. I mean, this was to explain. You just need to do is 0.75 into 48, 36. Just add 36 to the given average. Done. Right? This would have taken, like if you solve this method, maybe 3 to 4 minutes. And if you have understood the concept and done it, it will be less than 30 seconds. So definitely you will choose this. It's a more logical explanation plus faster method. Okay. All right. Now let us see the reverse of it. That is again average sum relation, in which you need to find the change in average. So you have to find the average in this case. Now change in average is change in sum upon number of items. So we said average is sum upon number of items. So change in average is change in sum upon number of items. So whether it is increase or decrease. A cricketer has an average score of 32 runs in 53 innings. If he scores 167 runs in the 54th innings, what will his average be after 54 innings? So we need to find his new average. Now, again in this case, one logic we'll have to take, that suppose he scores how much? 32 runs. So that means it will imply average remains 32. Average would remain 32 in this case also, right? Now, but he is not scoring 32. How much is he scoring? Extra he is scoring is 167 minus 32. That is 135. Now, what are we dealing here? What is the sum here? What are we totaling? We are totaling the runs. So change in runs. This is basically the change in runs. Change in sum what we are describing over here. So change in total runs, that is 135. And if you have to find the change in average, and he's scoring extra runs, so average will go up, is equal to 135 upon number of innings. Number of items there is number of innings. How many innings has he played now? So previously it was 53 innings. Now he has played 54 innings. Okay, you can divide by 9. You will get 15 and 6, which is 2.5. So his change in average is 2.5. So his average should increase by 2.5. So original average was 32. Add 2.5. His new average becomes 34.5. That is our answer. So this is how we apply this principle. So two ways. One is we need to find the total, like whether height, weight, age or any such thing, right? Another thing is we need to find the average. So both cases we have understood how to solve. So we will be solving these questions also in the class. Then next, another concept related to this topic is about weighted average. Okay, what is weighted average? Weighted average is when we take average of different kind of groups. Like we said average of marks. So it was for a single student. Now, but when we have different number of items, so we find the grand total and divide by the total number of things. Like for example, it says the average height of boys in a class is 148 centimeter and the average height of girls in the same class is 136 centimeter. There are 35 girls and 25 boys in the class. What is the average height of the student in the class? So we need to find the total average of students. So what we will do? We need to find sum of data of all groups means total height of students upon total number of students. Okay. So what we will do is total height of students. There are boys 135, 148 centimeter. And there are 25 boys into 25 plus 35 girls and their height is 136. Okay. And upon total is 35 girls plus 25 boys. So this is what is weighted average. So where we have different kind of entities and we need to add and get those values, right? Now we will calculate it. So 148 into 25, easy calculations. Into 25 means division by 4. Repeatedly, I keep telling this thing, like the calculation techniques will be very handy. Second is 136 into 35. Now, if you have to calculate 136 into 35, if you do not know the table of 35, that is perfectly fine. Double it will become 70. Half of it is 68. Right? So now you can multiply by 7. 7 into 8 is 56. 5 carries. 42 plus 5 is 47. This upon total values is 60. So what do we get? We will get 8460 by 60. Let's see if 846 is divisible. 6 into 14 is 84 and 1. So the answer is 141 centimeter. This is the concept of weighted average. Now there is a reverse process of weighted average which is called alligation, which we will learn in a separate class. Okay. All right. So now we have understood the concept behind it, right? And let us now solve questions based on it. All right. So let's start with a very simple thing. Find the average of these numbers. So we need to find the average of these numbers. So simple, but we will learn the concept of this concept of deviation in this question. So tell me what is the answer quick. It should be a quick calculation. Yes, your answer is correct. Okay, it was a very simple thing. But the more important thing is understanding the deviation method, okay, which will be quite handy. Especially in data interpretation, you will realize that you will have to do calculations, and this is going to be a handy thing. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to find this average. You must have added those and divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 values and got the result, right? That is one thing. Let us understand the deviation method. So, deviation method, what does it say is we assume some average. Okay? So, the real average is assumed average plus or minus total deviation upon number of values. Okay, so this is the deviation method of calculating the averages. So let us see this method and how it works. So in this case, we have like how to assume an average. That is the first question. If you look at values 93, 82, 105, 88, 91, 87, 94. Options close to 90. Even if the options were not given, let's think that if I were asked you to what will be the average, we discussed that it is between highest and lowest value, somewhere close. See, you can assume any value. Okay, it is not necessary that you assume the same value that I am assuming. So, by rough estimation, let us guess that assume average is 90. Now, how to calculate deviation? Deviation is like total that we need to subtract 90 from all the values. Okay, so if we assume 90 as the value, subtract 90 from it, so we'll get 3 minus 8, 15 minus 2, 1 minus 3 and 4. Okay, so that's what we get as the deviations. Now you could have assumed anything. You could have assumed 85 also, you could have assumed 100 also. The answer will not change. So we got these values. Now what we need to do is we need to just add the values. Now these are small values. Minus 2 minus 3 is 5. 5, 5 cancel. 5 and minus 5 cancel. This is 18 minus 8, that is 10. So the deviation is positive number, that is 10. 10 by 7 is 1.4. So 91.4. The answer. Okay. Now you might be thinking that I calculated 90 as the average. Could it be more also? Yes, we can take any number. Let us say I take the average as 92. So I'll do the same thing, 93, 82, 88, 91 and 87 and 94. Okay, so even if I assume the average to be 92, the answer will remain same. Okay, so I am assuming 92. We'll get minus 92 from this 1, minus 10, 13, minus 4, minus 1, minus 5 and 2. That's what we will get, right? We assume 92 as the average. Okay. Now, in this case, what are we getting? 1 and minus 1 will get cancelled. Minus 10 and minus 4, minus 14. Right? This is minus 1. And this is minus 6 and plus 2, minus 4. So we are getting total as minus 4. So what will we do? 92 minus 4 by 7. So 92 minus 4 by 7 is 0.57. That is equal to 91.43. So we saw that we got the same average. Okay, so it does not matter what you assume, your answer will be same. Okay, so try to just guess a number in between. That should be some logical. Like we took a round of number 90, you could have taken 92, you could have taken 95. Try taking any values, you will get the same average. Okay, and when to use deviation method? Values are close by. Because the deviations are small. These are small numbers. You can manually add them. Okay, this will be helpful in data interpretation. Okay, all right. So now let's see the next thing. The average of 15 numbers is 81. If 10 of the numbers are increased by 6 each, what will be the new average? Easy question, but we will understand the concept behind it. It's a fairly simple question, and we will learn the logic behind it so that, like, you solve questions that way, and no matter the questions, if they are lengthy also, you will be able to solve them fast. So average of 15 numbers is 81. 10 of the numbers are increased by 6 each. So we need to find the new average. So you got the average. Yeah, that was easy to calculate. Now let's see the approach. Like you must have taken the total and then added this thing. Average is 81, 15 numbers. What is happening? 10 of the numbers are increased by 6 each. There is change in sum. 10 into 6, that is 60. So what did we say? Change in average. I mean, you can do this without even lifting your pen. Change in sum upon number of values. So this could have been done without even, like this can be done in your head itself. So change in sum is 60 and there are 15 values. So there will be 4 increase. So the average will now be 85. So did anyone calculate using this? Maybe not now, but in future you will have to calculate like this, not to find 81 into 15. Okay, so can be done straightforward. All right, let's see the next one. The average weight of a group of members is 57 kg. The individual weights of 7 of these people are given to us. We need to find the weight of the 8th member. So we will again, in this case, think of the unconventional approaches. So that approach thing is important. So you might be adding this. What people would do this is, that is approach 1. So approach 1 you will say is 57 kg and 8 members. So total is 57 into 8. That will be the total. You will add these values and whatever is the total, you will say that this is the weight of the, like this is, let us say this total is T. You will get the weight of the 8th, right? So that will be the answer. That is one approach which you might be using in this question. Let us think the alternate approaches, right? So this is one approach. Second approach is deviation approach. So let us see those two things. One is deviation. So you must know which thing will work in which case. Sometimes the questions might be simple, like especially in SNAP, the questions would be one-liners, right? Many questions would be one-liners. But the thing is, you will take time in such questions, and might struggle. Okay, if like you get those questions and like if you do by the conventional method. So conventional method, you will say that okay, it's a moderate calculation based question. But I'll tell you that this is a very easy question if used in a logical manner. So this was the thing, right? Now what we will do is we need to use deviation. How to use deviation? The average is given to us 57. So subtract 57 from each of them. So you'll get minus 5, 0, minus 2, just 3, minus 1, 5, and 2. So minus 5, minus 5, 5, 5 and minus 5 get cancelled. This gets cancelled. What are we getting the deviation as? 2, right? We are getting the deviation as 2, but the deviation should be 0. We need to get 0. So that means that number x should give deviation of minus 2. So that means x is equal to 55. Because we said the deviation, sum of deviations in an average is 0. So that is why the number is 55. That is one trick. Okay. Second thing is last digit. No matter which chapter it is, right? Whether it is percentages, ratios, profit loss, anything. If you see the last digit is different and you need to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, anything, that means it's a last digit question. It is not a question of averages. Okay? It's a last digit question. Now, let us say the last digit of this number is x. Find the last digit of these. 2 plus 7 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14 or 4. 4 remains 4 only. 4 plus 6 is 10 or 0. 2 and 9. 2 plus 9 is 11. That is 1. So last digit is 1. Gives us 57 into 8. So when you do 57 into 8, no need to calculate. 7 into 8, the last digit is 6. So x means the last digit should be 5. There is only one option with last digit 5. So keep this thing in mind. This is a very handy way to do questions. And often people do not realize this because they only think about the formula of that concept. Keep this thing in mind. Last digit is a savior in several questions. So let's say even if it is handy in 2-3 questions, that could make a lot of difference. So that's where you stand out from others. Okay. All right. Let's now see the next question. Simple questions, but we are learning alternative approaches that makes your calculations look super fast. Okay, so what you would call easy would now become very easy for you, and what you call difficult would now become moderate for you. So using these approaches, so learning these approaches in simple questions, then we will apply the same in moderate questions. All right, so let's now see this one and solve it. So average temperature from Tuesday to Friday is given to us, and from Wednesday to Saturday is given to us, right? Now, if you were asked the temperature on Saturday, so higher average is Wednesday to Saturday. So one method is Wednesday plus Thursday plus Friday plus Saturday. That will be equal to 42 into 4. You will get the total, right? Then we have Tuesday to Friday. So Tuesday plus Wednesday plus Thursday plus Friday is also calculatable. 38 into 168 and 150. That is the total you will get. And when you subtract, you will get Tuesday, sorry, not Tuesday, Wednesday is common, Thursday is common, Friday is common. And Saturday minus Tuesday is equal to 16. So on Tuesday it is 32. So on Saturday will be 48. So that is one approach. Second approach is change in average method. Okay, so look at this. See, change in average method works where the number of values is known to us. So 4 values are there, 4 days, like Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday. In second case also, there are 4 days, right? So if the number of days is same, we can use change in average. What is change in average? Or in this case, the change in average is known to us. So change in sum is equal to change in average into number of values. Isn't it? What is change in sum? Change in average is 4 because 38 became 42. Average is increasing by 4. How many days are there? 4. So 4 is 16, right? So obviously logical reasoning use which will have more temperature. Saturday will have more temperature because if you bring Saturday, the temperature increases. So this is same kind of question is asked in replacement of people. So it will say that there are 10 people. One of the persons is replaced by another person and the average is this and that. Find the weight of the new person or the person leaving, etc. So this is how we calculate it. So increase is 16. So originally the average was 32. Add 16 to. So that is a way of thinking. Okay, next question. The average age of a class is 15 years, excluding the teacher. So this is the typical question. Teacher, student, the teacher is not present. So this is the average. And when you bring the teacher, the average is increased by 2. Find the number of students in the class. So how are we going to do this problem? So try this. So this you might find tricky because we discussed about change in average, change in number of change in average. We talked about change in sum. We did not talk about the number of values. Okay. Now let us do it the conventional way because like sometimes if you're completely blank, you should know the conventional way also. Okay. So we will do by both methods. One is conventional and one is by this method. Okay. And then you will realize that if you learn this method, it is magical. So conventional method we will do. Suppose there are n students. Suppose there are n students in the class. So what is the total age? 15 years and number of students is n. The total age is n, right? When you include teacher, total becomes the average age of the class is increased by 2, right? So it becomes 17 and the number of people is now, is it n only or does the number of people change? N plus 1, right? It is n plus 1, isn't it? Now, it is saying that the teacher is age 57 years. Now, the original average total was 50 and if you add 57 to it, that will be the new total. So from this total, this is the new total and new total is this also. So can we say that this is equal to this? Total age was 15 and we added the teacher, it became 15 n plus 57 and this total is 17 into n plus 1 because they were it says that the new average is like increased by 2 and there are n plus 1 people. So it becomes this. So that will be equal to 15 n plus 57 is equal to 17n plus 17. We will get 2n is equal to 40 or n is equal to 20. Okay, conventional method was this. Now we will use the change in average. Change in average. So what we said? We set the change in average is equal to change in sum upon number of values. That's what we calculated, right? So we had to find the change in average or we had to find the change in sum. We had to calculate one of these two things. In some questions, we had calculated change in average. In some questions, we calculated change in sum. But we never calculated number of values. Now, what is change in average? 2 given to us, increased by 2. What is the change in sum? See, the teacher is 57, average is 15. So the change in age is 42 years. If the teacher was also 50, the average would remain same. So the change in sum is 42. Okay. Number of values. So that will be equal to 21. Now 21, remember, whenever we did that question on number of values, that was the final number, isn't it? Remember this? Like here, the number of values was same. Here, when we talked about number of values, one of the examples that we took, right? We took number of values as 54 because it was after 54th innings. Here also, we took number of values as 48 because after including the teacher. So we have to include the latest value and then get the number of values. So this is the thing you need to keep in mind, right? Otherwise, you might end up making the mistake of answering 21 as the answer. So this is the number of values is the final number of values after including the teacher. So we get 21. So that means teacher plus 20 students. The only thing that is important is you should know that 21 will come after including the teacher. So it is a super simple question. 42 divided by 2, that is 21, and subtract 1 from it because the number of values is after including the teacher. So this is how we solve it in a very fast way. Okay, so change in average method is quite fast in executing these questions. Well, let's see the next question. The average score of a batsman in 16 innings is 36. In the next innings, he scores 70 runs. What will be his new average? So typical question on change in averages. So average score is 16, is 36, and he scores 70 runs. We need to find his new average. So here we need to find the average, right? So we need to find the change in average. Change in average is equal to change in sum upon number of values. Okay, so we are practicing quite a few questions of this kind so that you become super smart at it. So his average was 36, he's scoring 70 runs. Change in sum is 34. Why? 70. His original average was 36. And number of values is 16 innings. Now he has played next inning. So he has played 17 innings. So his new average will increase by 2. So increase by 2, his new average will be 38. So such questions should be done within your head. Okay, no more using pen for such questions. Okay, next is the average age of 4 people, PQRS, 5 years ago was 45 years. And by including T, the present average of the 5 people is 49 years. What is the present age of T? So here we will learn one concept, that is the average concept of finding average in ages, right? So remember that one thing, that average age increases by 1 per year. Okay, so no matter what is the number of people, average age will increase by 1. Okay, so you can do it by taking your age. It will increase by 1 every year, right? So think like this. There are 5 people A, B, C, D, E. Okay, 1 year later, all will be 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2, right? So we discuss this like average is, let us say, average is x, right? So 1 year later, average will be x plus 1 because all values are being increased by 1. We studied this as a property of averages, isn't it? Similarly, after 2 years, all age will increase by 2. So this will become x plus 2. So keep this thing in mind. Average age increases by 1 per year. Okay, so no matter the number of people. So that is why we discussed that property before, right? So that seemed to be a very naive property. You must have thought, okay, why we are studying this property? It was for this reason that average age increases by 1 per year. So we need to keep this in mind. So now 5 years ago, their average was 45. Present average of PQRS is equal to 50, right? Because it was 5 years ago. So total is 200. And when we add PQRST, since it's an easy calculation, need not use that change in average method. So total is 49 into 5. That is 245. Right? PQRS, their total is 200. 200, 15 to 4. So when you subtract, T is equal to 45. Simple question. So just to teach you that average age increases by 1 per year. Okay. All right. Now let us see the next thing here. Now this is including like a person is born or dead, those kind of questions where average age is included. So it says that the average age of a family of 5 members is 24 years. If the present age of the youngest member is 8 years, what was the average age of the family just before the birth of the youngest member? So we need to find the average age of the family just before the birth of the youngest member. So how are we going to approach this problem? So let's see this. So we discussed in the previous question that average age changes by 1 year per year. Okay. So average age of 5 members is 24 years. So 8 years, the youngest member is 8 years. So 8 years ago, the person was born. So 8 years ago, average age of family will be equal to 16, 24 minus 8, right? Now, how many people are there in the family? 5 members. So total age was 16 into 5, that is 80 years. Okay. So back then the total age was 80 years. And the youngest person was just born. So just before his birth. So there are 4 members before youngest person. Before youngest person, there were 4 members. Isn't it? So youngest member became the 5th member of the family. So before him, there were 4 members. So what was their average? 80 by 4, that is 20 years. Okay, so these are the type wherein like youngest person is born or like some person dies. That also uh, like could be asked that a person is dying. So what would be the age and so on. Okay. All right. So let's see the next one. Jay's family has 6 members, himself, his wife, and 4 children. Now, this is a tough question based on the same logic that we have been using in the previous 2 problems. So, his family has 6 members. The average age of his family after the birth of first, second, third, and fourth child was 20, 18, 16, and 15 years, respectively. The present sum of the ages is 108 years. Find the present age of his eldest child. So we need to find the sum of his, find the age of his eldest child. So what are we given? We are given that the average age after birth of first child, second child, third child, and fourth child, the average age is given to us. So here we will be using those principles of like change in average upon like number of values. So that we will see. So try it out. Like if you can think of how can you calculate this. I'll drop a hint that calculate the total age in each of the situation, right? First child, second child, third child, fourth child, average, and total. And then calculate the gap in which the children were born. So when the first child is born, right? What is the number of people in the family? How do we get the total? Average into number of people. Average into number of people will give the total age, right? Now, when the first child is born, how many people are there in that family? 3 people, right? Husband, wife, and child number 1. 3 people. What is the average over here? 20 years. So total age was the family was 60. Now, when the second child is born, the average is 18, 16, and then for fourth child is 15. Now, here we will have 4 members because husband, wife, and 2 children. So that is 72, 80, 90. Okay. So that is what we get as the total age of the family. Okay. That is fine. Now, from 60 to 72, how many years are being added to the family? After how many years, basically the thing is, after how many years the new child is born. That is what we need to calculate. Then only we will be able to calculate the age of the children. So 60 to 72, the difference is 12 years. Right? Total age is increasing by 12 years. And how many people are there? 3 people. So in 12 years, it is evenly spread upon 3 people. So that means it will take 4 years for the second child. Okay. 4 years. Okay. So can you calculate these values? So next increase is of 8 years. And how many people are there? 4 people. So that means it will take 2 years to increase the age by 8 years. Next increase is of 10 years. And there are 5 people. So it will take 2 more years for it. Now, are we done with the question? It is saying that present sum is 108. So after this also, there is an increase. And how much is that increase? 18 years. And how many people are there now? 6 people, right? The fourth child is also born. So by 6, we get 3. So this is the gap between these. So the first child was born here. And after this, 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3, a total of 11 years. So the first child is 11 years old. So in this, they could have asked the difference between the age of people or age of any of the children. So they asked for the first child, it is 11 years. Okay. All right. Let's see the next one. The average weight of 5 people is 64 kg. The weight of Q is 25% more than the weight of P. The weight of R is 26.66% more than the weight of Q. The weight of S is 41.66% less than the weight of P. And the weight of T is 26.66% less than the weight of Q. Find the difference between the weights of P and T. Now, this is a common trait in NMAT, wherein they ask lengthy questions, although they will be like easy. I mean, logic wise, they will be easy, but calculation wise, they will be intense. How to deal with these kind of questions? So when we see this particular question, it is not actually a question based on average. Yes, it is based on average, but more than averages, it tests your ability of percentages. Because unless you know these percentages, 26.66, 41.66, 26.66, 25 we are already aware of, it will be a trouble for you. And of course, you will skip this question. You will say that, okay, it's a difficult question to attempt, so you'll skip it. So try solving it and let me know which averages you are not aware of, percentages you are not aware of. So let me give you the head start about the percentage values. Okay, next you can do is do these calculations. Okay, so 25% we are all aware of is 1 by 4, quite easy. 26.66%. Okay, 26.66% is something maybe like I'll tell you 2 ways to do it, right? So first is whenever something ends in 0.33 or 0.66, you multiply it by 3 to get an integer value. Okay, so this is one of those numbers. So one method is into 3 is 78. 26 into 3 is 78. 0.66 into 3 is 2. We can say 80 by 3 percentage. That is equal to 80 by 300 or 4 by 15. Okay. All right. Next is 41.66% into 3 by 3. 41 into 3 is 123 plus 2 is 125 by 3 percentage. 125 by 300. You can take 25 out. That is 5 by 12. Now, if you know these fractions, 5 by 12, 4 by 15, I mean, I told you that you should know fractions up to 15, right? So if you know these, even if you know till 10, that is good enough. This you will be able to calculate. So 4 by 15 and 5 by 10. That is one way to calculate these percentages. Okay. Another way to, first let us learn this because it's a more of a percentage based question. 26.66. Let us say you're not aware of the percentage. We know 16.66 is what? 1 by 6. And 10% is 1 by 10. So add these 1 by 6 plus 1 by 10 upon 30. 5 plus 3. That is 8 by 30. Which we get 4 by 50. Thing is, like we know 25% is 1 by 4. If you add these two, so we will get 41.16%, 41.66%. 1 by 6 plus 1 by 4 is 12. 2 plus 3 by 12. So we got 5 by 12. So we got these two values, isn't it? So that's how we calculated the values. Okay. So that's how we got the values, right? And now we will. So we have calculated the this aspect of finding the percentages. Now your task is to solve the average based question. So solve it and find the difference between the weights of P and T. Now, how to do this average thing here? Okay, so percentage we've calculated. What are these fractions? Whenever you have multiple people, right? If this applies to percentage based things, we have 5 people: P, Q, R, S, T. So we need to find the independent value. So we have P, Q, R, S, and T. So which value should we take as, like which value should we calculate? That's the thing over here. Okay. So it says weight of Q is 25% more than the weight of P. So Q is dependent on P. The weight of R is 26.66% more than the weight of Q. So R is dependent on Q, right? Weight of S is 41.66% less than the weight of P. So S is dependent on P. And weight of T is 26.66% less than weight of Q. So T is dependent on Q. So which of these is independent? So in such kind of a questions, wherever these percentages, fractions are involved, look for the independent person. So P is independent. Okay, this is independent variable. So we will take a variable for P and then solve it. Otherwise, if you go by normal percentage method, which you learn elsewhere, you take some value X or 100X, it will take infinite time to solve it. Okay, because first of all, you should know these fractions, percentage into fractions. If you do not know it, 1.2666 is not an easy calculation. 0.4166 is not a calculation. Okay, so let us see this. P is the base variable that we will take. P are considering 1/4 more. Okay, so what we will do? We will take P as 4x. If you take, so another thing, one was we are taking P should be a multiple of 4. And second case, weight of S is 41.66. So we are taking as a multiple of 12 also. So which should we take? We should take 12. Why? Because one of the values is 5 by 12. So we will take P as 12x. Okay, so we will take P as 12x. Why are we taking P as 12x? Because in case of Q, it is 1/4 and it is 5 by 12. So we will take P as 12x. Now Q is 25% more. So 25% means 1/4. 1/4 of 12x is 3x. 15x. Right? Watch the class on percentages if you have not watched. Then only you will be able to understand this reasoning better. There we discussed all these fractions. R. R is 26.66%. 4 by 15 more than Q. So 4 by 15. Q is 15. 4 by 15 of 15 is 4. So R will be 19x. This thing more. S is 5 by 12 less. So P is 12x. 5 by 12 will be 5x less. 5x less, that is 7x. Weight of T is 26.66% less. 26.66 is again 4 by 15. 4 by 15 less. Okay. 15, 4 by 15 is 4. 15 minus 4 is 11. So T is 11x. So this is how we get the values. Unless you know these percentages, you will not be able to solve this question. It will take 20 minutes to solve this because 0.2626, 1.2626 not easy to multiply. Okay. And taking the base variable is also very important. Right? Now we got the values. Difference between the weights of P and T. We need to find. Average is given as 64. So just add these values. 30, 37, 37 plus 27, 64x. Total is 64x. Right? Average is given as 64. So average is 64x by 5. That is equal to 64. So x is equal to x is 5. They've asked the difference between P and T. P is 12x, T is 11x. Difference is x. That is equal to 5 kg. So that is our answer. Okay. So this was a question that involved percentages and it's like conversion of fractions of percentages. That is very handy in especially in exams like NMAT. They test your percentage heavily. Okay, next question. 10 friends went on a weekend getaway. 9 of them spent rupees 2000 each on lodging and food, while the 10th person spent rupees 1800 more than the average spending of all 10 friends. How much did they spend altogether on lodging and so there are 10 friends and 9 of them spent 2000 each and 10th person spent 1800 more than the average spend. So what will be your answer for this? You're getting 19,800. Okay, got it. How you did it? You must have done 9 into 2000 plus 1800. 18,000 plus 1800 and got the answer wrong. Now I'll tell you why it is wrong. See, you consider 10th person spending 1800, right? Is he spending 1800? No. He's saying 1800 more than the average. He's not spending 1800. He's spending 1800 more than the average expenditure. So if you are doing 9 into 2000 plus 1800, that is wrong. Let us do it in the conventional approach and we will think of that change in average method also. Okay. So let's see the conventional approach. So we have 2000 each and 1800 more than the average spend. So what is the average spending? Let us say let average spending is equal to A rupees. So what will be the total expense? Total spending will be, there are 10 people, so total spending is 10A. Now this total is equal to 2000 by 9 people. So 2000 into 9 plus what is the last person spending? 1800 more than the average spending. So A plus 1800. Okay, got it? A plus 1800 because he's spending 1800 more than the average. So what do we get? We bring A this side, we will get 9A is equal to 18,000 plus 1800. That is 19800. So A will be 2200. Average is 2200. So we will get 22,000 as the total expense. Okay, that was one approach. Another approach is basically what is happening. He is spending 1800 more than the average, right? So it should balance out. Deviation should balance out. So this is spending 1800 more. That means other people, they spend 1800 less than the average. That is why the average is maintained. So another way of thought. One is this, using simple equation. Second is thinking the average, how it is balanced. Okay, so one is spending 1800 more, another is spending, other people are spending 1800 less. And how many people are there? 9. So that means 200 less per person. Right. They are spending 2000 and 200 less. So average will be 2200. So that is another way to think. And there are 10 people. So you get this as the answer. So that's the answer to this question. Okay, let's see the next question. There are 46 students in a class whose average marks are 78. The average marks of the top 20 students is 89, while that of the bottom 25 are 69. How many marks did the student rank 21 from top score? So there are 46 students. We are given the average of top 20 students and the last 25 students. We need to find the average of the remaining, the marks of the remaining person. So see, basically we are given the grand total 46 students and average is 78. So whenever you read this kind of a statement, like we see that average and the number of people. So what we are given, we are indirectly given the grand total. So we know the grand total is 76 in 46 into 78. So total marks is 46 into 78. Okay. Next thing is we are given the total of we are given top 20 students and bottom 25 students. So let us say this is student 1 and so on till student 20. Right? This is student number 21, student 22 and so on till student 46. So their average is 89 and number of students is 20. Plus suppose the student scores X marks. The average is 69 and there are 25 students. So grand total is 46 into 78. Number of students into the average. Okay, so that's the grand total. So we need to find the value of X. That is basically what the question is. Okay. Now use your brain, right? Can it be done by your last digit method? See, all options have last digit. So be careful. Like I keep telling this in the class, no matter which chapter. Okay, the first thing that you should look for is if the options have last digit different. So that means that you need not be worried about these big calculations. It's a last digit question. Okay, so you just need to focus on the last digit to get the answer. So the last digit in this case is 0. The last digit is X. Okay, and the last digit is 5. And what will be the last digit here? 6 into 8. The last digit is 8. So X 5. That means X should be, the last digit should be 3. You will get the answer as 80. Okay, so that's how you get the answer. And if you want to calculate, this will be 1780 x and 69 into 25. Division by 4. 17 into 4 is 68 and 1 remains. So 25. That is equal to 46 into 78. Say how to do fast calculations. We will revisit the fast calculation techniques in every class wherever we have calculations. So please do watch those classes to understand what are we doing. 78 into 50 and 78 into 4. We'll subtract it. So 3900, 312. That will be 3588. Now see this. Imagine doing the conventional way and imagine doing this way. So this will be 1780 plus 1705. So 34 plus 105, 3505. Now, even if you have very good calculations, it would take some time to do this. Okay. So this is the time taken to solve it. And this is the time taken by applying the last digit thing. So always remember to see the options. If you see last digit in different options, then think that it's a last digit based question. You do not have to do the calculations. Well, let's see the next question. A set of consecutive positive integers beginning with 1 is written on a blackboard, and a student comes and erases one number. The average of the remaining numbers is 21, 5 by 7. What was the number erased? Now, a lot of people will struggle in this kind of question because like you may not be knowing, or you might probably be applying the formula and all, right? You will be writing the number of numbers. And one property that one needs to know is sum of first n natural numbers is equal to n plus 1 by 2, right? And if I just say that average of first n natural numbers is equal to n plus n by 2, like see, n into n plus 1 by 2, we divide by n. So n gets cancelled, it is n plus 1 by 2, right? Now, what we need to think is, see, this question is fairly simple. We need to think is, what is the average given to us? 21, right? So either that average will be more than 21 or less than 21. Okay, getting it? The average will be like less than 21 or more than 21, because whether it will be 21 or it will be 22. Okay, so when we say this average, the original average is equal to n plus 1 by 2, right? Now, if the average of remaining numbers is 21, 5 by 7. Now, we do not know which number is removed. Okay, some number is removed. So maybe it is a small number, right? If the number is small, the average will increase. If the number is large, the average will decrease. Okay, so I hope this thing is clear. First thing is this, you should know that average of first and natural numbers is n plus 1 by 2, right? So these kind of question, if you encounter, first and foremost, the most important thing. Now, the thing is that either the average will reduce if you subtract a large number. If you remove a big number, the average will reduce or it will increase. Okay. So our original average is somewhere around 21. So it could be 21, it could be 21.5, right? It could be 22 also. Right? It can decrease to become 21 by 5 by 7. It can increase to become like it was 21 and became 21 0.5, right? So that is one guess you need to take. Now we have taken the guess that it is close to 21. Next thing is, what is the remaining average? Remaining average is 21 5 by 7. Okay, so original average is 21. That means how many numbers are there? N plus 1 by 2 is 21. Okay, so that means 42 plus n plus 1 is 42. So there are 41 numbers. 42 numbers, 43 numbers. If you take 43 numbers, their average will be 22. If you take 42 numbers, the average will be this. If you take 41 numbers, the average will be 21. Okay. Got it? Now, how to decide that which number should we take? First of all, we take a guess. Right? Guess means we took an approximate average. Okay. So approximate average we took. Next thing is, like what we will do is, we will guess the exact number. How to guess this is? Look at the denominator. What is 21? 5 by 7. 7. Any multiple of 7 here? 42. 42 is a multiple of 7. Okay. Now 42 is a multiple of 7. That means this is after remaining. After remaining is 21, 5 by 7. So this is after removing. That means total numbers is 43. Initially the numbers are 43. Okay. This is after removing. So this is how you guess the exact number. Otherwise, if you keep equations and doing it in trial, it is not a waste. It is going to be a waste of time. You should think like this. After removing, it is 21 5 by 7. That is a multiple of 42. So that means original average is 22. Now, how are we going to do this? Is we need to find the number that is erased. So original average is 22 and 43. So original we have got 43 numbers. We figured it out. So first sum is 22 into 43. New sum is 21 5 by 7 into 42. So 21 into 42 plus 5 by 7 into 42. So this total is 22 into 3 is 66 and 6 carries 88, 94, 946. 21 into 42. 21 square is 441 into 2 is 88. This is 30. That is 912. Okay. 912. What is the remaining number? That is the number that we removed is 34. Okay. So the number removed is 34. Now, can it be done by change in average method? Can it be done using that? Yes, we can do that way as well. Now, think like this. We are given the change in average. Change in sum. Upon number of values. Okay. So here we have the change in sum is we need to find the change in sum. Okay. So if you remove the average value, that is, if you remove 22, the average will remain same only. Same average. If you remove 22, the average will be same. But what is the change in average? The change in average is 2 by 7. 2 by 7 and number of values is 42 here. So that means the change in sum is 12. So basically we are removing a number which is 12 more than the average because that is why the average is reducing. Okay. So 22 plus 12, that is 34. Now it might be difficult to think in fraction based scenario. Okay. It could be a tough thing to think. So better go by this conventional approach to this problem. If you can think like this, great. If not, this is the approach. So the most important thing is average of first and natural numbers. Okay. So the sum of first and natural numbers and average of first and natural numbers you must know in order to solve this question. Okay, so let's see the next one. Tomatoes are sold for 5 consecutive months at the rate of 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 25, 25 and 50 per kg. Okay. And we are given that a family spends a fixed amount of money on tomatoes for each of the first 3 months and then spends half that amount on tomatoes for each of the next 2 months. The average expense per kg is closest to how much? So that's the question. Now a family is spending some amount in the first 3 months, and in the next 2 months it is spending half of it. How are we going to calculate the average expenditure of the 5 months? So we are given that a family spends a fixed amount. Now, what is that fixed amount? We do not know. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's take the LCM of these numbers. Why? Because we will get the, like, see, average is sum upon number of values. Sum is the total amount spent, right? Amount spent upon rate will give us the uh, the quantity of tomatoes purchased. So let us say that amount is equal to LCM of these values 10, 25. You can take X also, but that will be calculation intensive. 25, 25 is repeating, so no need to write again. And 50. Okay. So we get 250 rupees. 25 and 10 is 250. It is, or if you take 50, that works. 50 works, right? If you take the LCM, 50 rupees. Oh, sorry, 20 is also there. 25, 50. So the LCM will be 100. Yeah, so thanks for correcting. 20 is also there. So the LCM is 100 rupees. So let us say they are spending 100 rupees. So there are 5 months. Let us say month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, and month 5. Right? Amount they are spending, and rate and quantity. So they are spending 100 rupees in the 3 months. So 100, 100, 100. And next 2 months, half that amount for each of the next 2 months. So the amount becomes 50 and 50. Right? And how much is the rate? First month is 10, 20, 25, 25, and 50. So what will be the quantity? You divide by this 10, 5, 4. This is 2, and this is 1. So total they spent 400 rupees. 300 plus 50, 50, 400. And what is the total quantity? 15 plus 4 is 90, 20, 22. So for 400 divided by 22, that will be the average price. So we can say this is 200 by 11. 11 into 1 is 11. Okay, 990, that is 8. 18.18. So approximately they are asking closer to, that is 18 rupees per kg. Okay, so that is our answer. Okay, here's the next question. Okay, and like, see this carefully. It says the expenses of a hotel are partly fixed and partly varying linearly with the number of guests. Okay, and it is given that the average expense per guest is rupees 3,500 when there are 25 guests, and 3,000 when there are 50 guests. What is the average expense per guest when there are 100 guests? So we need to find this average expense when there are 100 guests. Okay. Suppose, let us say, like in this case, there are two kinds of expenditures. One is uh, like fixed expenditure, one is variable expenditure. Okay. So one is fixed and what is varying linearly with the number of guests. So let us say fixed is X and variable is Y per guest. Okay, so let us say it is Y per guest. Now, when there are the average expense per guest is 3,500 when there are 25 guests. When there are 25 guests, what will be the total expenditure? It will be fixed is X only plus 25 into Y. So what is this? Fixed is 25 X plus 25Y, that is 3,500 into 25. So multiplication by 25 means division by 4. So divide this by 4, you will get 875. 875. And how many zeros to add? 2 zeros to. Now when there are 50 guests, we have the total as X plus 50Y. And that is equal to 3,000 into 50. So 3,000 into 50 is 15 followed by 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So that is the total expenditure then, right? Now we know the total expenditure. Now we will have to solve for X and Y. But before we solve for X and Y, think that what we need to calculate. We need to calculate average expense when there are 100 cases. So basically we have to find X plus 100Y. Now if you take the difference, like if you subtract this equation from here, we will get 25Y and this is 62500. Now one thing to consider here is, should we calculate X and Y individually? That is something that you need to be vigilant about. See, at this point, some people will start calculating the value of X also. But let me tell you, that is not even needed. Why it is not needed is we need to calculate X plus 100Y. We already know X plus 50Y. So can we say that it is X plus 50Y plus 50Y more? So X plus 50Y is 15 followed by 4 zeros. 25Y is this, multiply by 2, that is 125, 1250 and 2 zeros. Okay, so we get this. Like we did not calculate the value of X and Y separately. We used this result. So you need to be vigilant with the numbers that you see. 15, 12 and 5 zeros. So 27, 5 and 3 zeros after that. And there are 100 guests. So when you divide by 100, you will get 2750 as the answer. Okay, so this was a question which required solving of equations. And we saw that we need not calculate the both variables. Okay, we just calculated one of the variables, that was Y, and calculated the answer. Okay, so now let's see the next one. On a ferry, there are 50 cars and 10 trucks. The cars have an average weight of 1200 kg and the trucks have an average weight of 3000 kg. So we need to find the average weight of all 60 vehicles on the ferry. So this is a question based on weighted average. We discussed one of the concepts as weighted average. So we need to find the weighted average of these values. So what is average? Weighted average? Weighted average is total sum upon total number of values. So we have 50 cars and 10 trucks. 50 into. Now what we can do is we can ignore hundreds because all values are in hundreds. Answers are also in hundreds. So 50 into 1200 kg. So 50 into 12 plus 10 trucks. 10 into the weight is 30. upon 50 plus 10. So that is 600 plus 300, that is 900 by 60. That is equal to 15. And since we removed hundreds, the answer is 1500 kg. Okay. So that is the formula way. Now we will learn the alligation also, right? And we will use this, like we will use the reverse process, that is mixture. When we do mixture and alligation, we will be calculating the reverse of it. Okay. Now, how to do this in a better way is, see, what is the, let us understand this concept. This will help you in mixture and alligation also. First of all, write that how many total parts we have. 50 cars and 10 trucks. T ratio 10. That is 5 ratio 1. That is 6 parts. Okay. So we will write cars on one side, trucks on one side. The weight is 1200. Okay. And the weight is 3000. Now, what we need to do is, we need to understand one logic. If there are equal cars and trucks, what will happen? If there are equal, the average weight will be average of these, that is 2100. Okay, so if you take one car and one truck, the average is 2100. Take two cars and two trucks, the average will be 2100. So if there are equal number of cars and trucks, the average will be same. Okay. If you include more cars, think logically, not mathematically, think logically. If you have more cars, what will happen? Suppose, let's start with simple numbers. Like, don't take 1200 and 3000. Let us take 12 and 30. If you have two values, the average is 21. If you have two cars and one truck, so 24 plus 30, 54, you are getting 18. If you have even more cars. So what did we see? 36 plus 30 is 66. If you increase number of trucks, 30, 30 and 12. So we see that 72, 24, right? If you increase more trucks, let us say if you have 5 trucks and 1 car. So 150, 162 by 6, you will see 27. Okay. If cars are more, the average will shift towards lower side, because car has a basically lower value, the average will shift towards that side. Okay. If the numbers of trucks increase, the average will shift towards the side of trucks. Okay. Hope you understand this. Now, although this question is very easy to calculate, I'm telling you the logic because complex calculations can be done using this approach. Okay. So that is one approach. This is the allegations approach. So if the number of cars increases, the average will shift this side. Correct? Okay. Now we have 6 parts. 1200 to 3000. What is the difference? Difference is 1800. Isn't it? Divide into 6 parts. 300. Okay, one part is 300. Now we need to get 5 ratio 1. So that means it is 1500 and 300. Okay. You can look from any point, not necessary from car or from truck. So we need to see 300 or 1500. So if you add 300 to it, we will get 1500. If you add 1500 to it, we will get 2700. But logically, we know that cars are more, so it will not be 2700, it will be 1500. Okay. If you look from this point, if you subtract 300, this will be 27. If you subtract 1500, you will get 1500. Okay. No matter from which side you add or subtract, you will get the same result. Logic you need to use. Whichever is more, the average will shift towards that side. Okay. So if you use this logic, that is another approach. So let us solve another question, right? There are 45 boys and 35 girls in a class. If the average marks of the boys are 82 and that of girls are 90, what are the average marks of the class? Okay. And remember this, the second approach that we used, this is applicable only when there are two values. Okay, whenever there are three or more values, then you have to apply this only. So allegation is applicable whenever there are only two values. So this is allegation, reverse of allegation, or you can say allegation concept, which we'll study later on. That is the reverse of weighted average. Okay. Now let us see this thing. 45 boys and 35 girls. Average marks of boys are 82 and girls are 90. Average marks of the class. So approach one, average is 45 into 82 plus 35 into 90. And upon 45 plus 35. Now we revisiting calculation hacks. 45 into 82 if you have to do. If you do not know the table of 45, no worries. Take it double, take it half. 41 into 9. 9 1 is 9, 3690 plus 35 into 90. That will be 35 into 10 is 350 minus 35, 3150 upon 80. So that will be equal to 6840 by, okay, we can divide by 4. That will be 17 and 1 by 2. That will be 85.5. A bit of calculation involved. This is what we get using the first approach, that is weighted average. Okay. Second approach that we learned in the previous question, boys ratio girls. What is it? 45 ratio 35. That is 9 ratio 7. So what we will do? We will make 16 parts. Okay. This is 82. This is 90. Total difference is 8. 8 by 16 is 0.5 per part. Right? Now you take any of those, not necessary that you are taking 9 or 7. 9 into 5 is 0.5 is 4.5. Central line is 86. Boys is 82 and boys are more. So average will be this side. 90, if you subtract 4.5, it will be 85.5 and the other is, like if you take 4.5, the other is 3.5. We are saying this, right? If you subtract 3.5, it is 86.5. But the average should be towards the boys because boys are more in number. Whichever is more in number, the average will shift towards that side. This is moderate and this is easy too, isn't it? This approach was much easy, dividing into the ratios and calculating. So in future, we will be doing ratio, that mixture allegation. It is reverse of this process, in which they will give you the average of boys, they will give you the average of girls, they will give you the average of class also. They will ask about the ratio of boys and girls. So just a heads up to that process. Okay, so here's the next one. It says a university course follows like a different rule of marking, which is 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100% weight for first, second, and third and fourth year respectively. A student got 65%, 70%, 75%, and 80% in the first, second, third, and fourth years. We need to find his aggregate score. So in this case, what we need to do is, first year we need to get 25% weight. So first year, like suppose the maximum marks are, see, what we need to do is, let us assume the maximum marks are 100. Okay. So in first year, maximum marks into percentage, that will give you the marks. Okay, so first year we'll assume 25 as the maximum because it is given 25%, 50, 75, and 100. So calculate the values and tell what will be the answer. find his aggregate score based on this mechanism. Twenty-five into 65. Division by 4. 16 into 4 is 64. 35. 75 square. And 80% is 80. Total maximum marks are, this is 100, 200, 250. And the marks the person secured is 16 plus 56 is 72.5. Plus this is 115. So 187.5 marks. Okay, so the person got 187.5 marks in the exam. So his percentage will be 187.5 upon 250 into 100. So division by 25, multiply by 4. So 18 into 4 is 72. 75 into 4 is 300. Got 75% marks in his aggregate. That is his aggregate score of 75%. So this was a question of weighted average, including more than 2 elements. So if 2 elements are involved, in that case, we can find the grand total and calculate, okay, or use the the allegation method which we were discussing. And if there are more than 2 elements, then you have to find the grand total and solve. So this was today's class on averages. I hope you learned different techniques in different questions and also learned how to do questions in a smart manner. We learned the concept of change in average. That is very important. Okay, a lot of questions are asked on the change in average concept, plus weighted average also we discussed. So please do solve the practice sheets, and if you come across any doubts, whether in the class, practice sheets, or anywhere in solving the questions, feel free to ask us. So that's for today's class. Thanks everyone for attending the class and participating in it. Wish you a great day. Goodbye.